Meantime, the departure of Democratic Governor Janet Mills from the Maine Senate race really sent shockwaves across the Democratic Party. But now it clears the path for upstart Graham Platner. You might have heard his name. He might win the Democratic nomination now and face Republican Maine Senator Susan Collins this fall. His prospective nomination could say a lot about the direction of where the Democratic Party is going if they are able to take back Senate control. Chief Congressional Correspondent Char Pergram takes a look at all of it.
Democratic hopes of flipping the Senate may hinge on Graham Platner.
I want the Trump administration not to function.
Platner's a progressive.
Stop paying for agencies like ICE.
But he thinks his message resonates in a purple state like Maine.
The idea that my politics are too radical I find somewhat laughable.
Platner bears a Nazi SS tattoo. He said women who were raped should, quote, act like an adult. He's since walked that back and covered the tattoo. Now other Democrats cover for him.
He went through a really rough period. Yeah. PTSD type period. I do believe people should have second chances.
Progressive icons endorse Platner despite his faults.
I think that it would be beneficial for folks to take a look at what Platner has been doing in Maine.
Graham Platner's been out there meeting folks from Maine face to face, and the people of Maine seem to like what they see.
In Michigan, Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed is surging. He previously called for defunding the police and wants Medicare for all. Democrats are recalibrating. They're supporting either flawed or controversial candidates.
What we're seeing really is this question of a democratic redefinition. So what 20 years ago would have been disqualifying is now hardly a bump in the road.
Republicans believe veering left with Platner could backfire on the Democrats.
I mean, I think what that does is it tees up a race for Susan Collins against a very extreme, radical Democrat that uses the out of mainstream of the people of Maine.
Collins' centrist credentials took a hit supporting the big, beautiful bill and the Supreme Court picks of President Trump. But she voted to curb military action in Iran Thursday. Aisha?
Okay, Chad, thank you very much. For more, let's bring in Fox News contributor Hugh Hewitt. Hugh, I love picking your brain. I want to play for you some sound, though, first, because we're going to laugh together. This is the Democrats explaining away Platner's very, very interesting baggage. Watch this.
The dude has not had a Nazi tattoo. He went through a really rough period. Yeah. PTSD type period. And he has himself said there are lots of things he's done and said that he completely regrets. Yeah. And I do believe people should have second chances.
He has apologized. I want us to be the party that actually delivers on lowering costs and that expands opportunities. And that's what Graham Platner wants to do, and I'm there to stand with him.
Are Democrats so desperate to recontrol Congress, to take back power, that they would be willing to stand behind this guy?
Great framing of the question, because the answer is yes. You remember the long-running reality show, Extreme Makeover? This is Extremist Makeover. He is an extremist, and one doesn't have to go back a long time to find on his Reddit threads or his posts anti-Semitic stuff, pro-Hamas tactical stuff, anti-gay, anti-women. The Nazi tattoo is not just the Nazi tattoo. It's the death head from the extermination camp prison guards who were allowed to shoot to kill. Yeah. It's the worst of extremism. Now, Maine, which I am lucky enough to be blessed with relatives who live there, so I get to spend a lot of time in Maine. It's a normal place.
They don't want this, right?
They don't. No. Susan Collins is the most moderate of senators. She's chairman of appropriations for a reason. That helps Maine. It helps Bath Iron Works. It helps the lobstermen, the fishermen. But she's also in Senate Intel, which means everybody in the Senate trusts her. So you take a moderate, wonderful winner, St. Susan, she's called, from the county, the furthest north county. She's the real deal Mainer. And one more thing, 6 years ago, Democrats ran a very left-wing Sarah Gideon against her Speaker of the Maine House. And every poll said Susan Collins was going to lose because Sarah Gideon had spent $48 million and Susan Collins only had $23 million. Every poll said she was going to lose. Susan Collins won by almost 9 points.
Yeah.
She is a fixture in Maine.
But I want to ask you about what you think is happening with the Democrats, the party in general. And I don't know that they know what's happening because you've got this push to the left. We're seeing socialism pop up everywhere. There's a lot of concerning races. We just talked about Michigan. Here's a Fox News poll, very recent, talking about where the Dems, what they think about socialism. You got 66% very liberal voters think it's a good thing. And then 55% Democrats, and that's way up from where we were at before. This shift towards socialistic ideas, we obviously saw that with Mayor Mamdani in New York City, and we're seeing that with these May Day rallies that were all over the place last night. You had the teachers union in Chicago trying to shut down schools to allow kids to go to these rallies.
My answer is, I think President Trump has broken the Democratic Party thoroughly into 1,000 different pieces so that they've forgotten. My grandfather was a Democrat his whole life, fireman. And they've forgotten that they used to be for working class people who wanted to make a living for themselves and do well by their kids. And they've become extreme. They're party of coastal, deep blue elites that has lost touch with the reality of America, whether it's in Maine, whether it's in Michigan, the two states we're talking about, my home state of Ohio. The Democrats have gone off the left cliff. It will play in California. It will play in New York City, like you say, Mamdani. It's just not going to play in normal America, where most people don't spend most of their time doing politics.
And they're wrapped up still fighting President Trump, and he's not on the ballot anymore, so they've got to find a new messaging plan. I want to ask you about the redistricting fight. This is going to be the story of this year, and I guess we've all decided that all bets are off, and we're just going to go at it with every single state. But this is a very 50-50 country, wouldn't you say? I mean, people are pretty majority moderate. At some point, do you think this backfires?
No. I think it's a center-right country. I think you're right. However, I do think we're at maximum partisanship right now, and that the states have self-sorted themselves into 20 blue and 30 red. And wherever there is a triple play, House, Senate, and governorship, we're going to see redistricting to maximize partisan advantage. I welcome this. I've been teaching con law at Chapman's Fowler School of Law for 30 years. And it was a mess. Everything was a mess until Sam Alito came out and basically said the way to end racism in America, paraphrasing from Chief Justice Roberts, is to stop using race. We can't use race to award benefits or inflict punishments, and we can't use it in redistricting. So a bunch of states who have been burdened by Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act are going to go back and draw non-racial partisan lines, but they're going to be very red or very blue. So it helps the Republicans. I'm very happy I'm a Republican, but it's the right constitutional choice. So maximum partisanship, you bet. Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, everybody pile in, maybe even Tennessee. Virginia just did maximum partisanship, screwed the Republicans as thoroughly as you could be screwed. It's constitutional. It's fair. Might not like it if you're an independent moderate, but the blue and the red teams play to win.
By the way, happening right now, voters in Louisiana are early voting. It's the first day of early voting, and they're going in right now and being told they can't vote for any of the House races because the House races are suspended because of the Supreme Court ruling. Hugh, always great to see you.
Okay.
This is going to be a fun year.
That's my favorite year. Election years.
I like surprises, and maybe we have some around the corner.
Many, many.
Okay, great to see you, Hugh.
Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.